I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Boo signing on.
What's going on, guys? This is Billy Giannouloudis right here with another episode of Once a Week. And guys, we got another great guest here, my buddy Tyler Brondyk. And guys, this video is probably the most impromptu video that I've done before, because last night Tyler called me to check in on how everything's going. And when I say that the conversations with Tyler really, they dive deep, this was a 5-minute conversation that turned into about a 45-minute conversation. And we addressed so many different points that we had to get this video to you guys. So Tyler, I thank you for being here for another great video. Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure and a joy being on Once a Week. Yeah. And obviously been tuning into a lot of your other episodes, and love the content, love the message, and just the overall mindset of obviously yourself and the guests that you bring on. A lot of people are really forward thinking and looking to make a positive impact in the world, and just tapping into potential. And I think that's what you capture so well, so I'm just honored to be back on, man.
I appreciate that. That's the goal right now with every single one of these Once a Week messages. Like you said, we want to tap into the potential. We want to help people make an impact. That's my goal, is to help people see their true purpose here, and like, how can I help others? How can I be there? How can I achieve my goals? And with the recent videos that you and I have done over the past probably 6 months or so, they've made an impact. Pretty sure that was one of the focuses for one of our messages. And today, guys, we're coming at you from an unlikely story. So if our voices seem a little quiet, that's the main reason, because we got people all around us. But with this message today, like I said, it was just impromptu. The spirit was moving last night, Tyler. So let's step into it. We want to help people with living in abundance, I think was what sparked our conversation last night. So what does that mean for you right now, living in abundance?
Yeah, I think that's such an important concept and just term to wrap our minds around, abundance. And what I think I contrast it with scarcity of just like thinking of like limited resources, and just like thinking that there's less to go around, and that you have to kind of hold it in and keep it, and that is going to be the way forward. And I think there's some things that we do keep, but I think more and more so we need to express what we love, and we need to start to fill up others. And I think as we do that, when we start to serve, when we start to pour out on others, we are filling ourselves up in the process. So I think it's such an overlooked aspect of our life that it needs to be tapped into. So yeah, I think about, are we living into a life of abundance or scarcity? And you know, I think it's hard because we live in, obviously with the rise of technology, super fast, in that we really haven't caught up to all the changes that have been made in the past 20-30 years. Like when you look at charts of, like, this is kind of looking at big history, right? You have the Industrial Revolution, which was like a huge change in Europe, and it scattered out. But then you look at the rise of the internet, the rise of social media, the rise of emailing, like all these different ways of communication. And just we're entering into this age of information. And I think sometimes we search so much for information that we maybe forget about what we already have and what we can give. And I think that is just like something that I think in a time when we're so divisive, if we continue to hold on to what we have and continue to be kind of have that this possession that it's for me, I think we're kind of stroking our ego a little bit too much, and we don't find ourselves in postures of humility when we're able to learn and receive from somebody else. And I think that place and that openness, and that it allows for you to be able to pour into somebody else, but also lets for someone to pour back into you.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the biggest things you said is, you know, we're living too much for ourselves. You know, I always like to tell people that come to me, the secret to living is giving. And that came from hearing that through Tony Robbins, who told me that when I did his trainings. The secret to living is giving. But you kind of touched on a key point right there, where how can you give if you're so set on what I got? If you're so set on me, mine, back to the early days of growing up, like the mind phase. Did you ever grow out of it? That's the key thing right there. The secret to living is giving. I can assure you, out of my own experiences, it will feel very weird at first when you can give and give and give, and to put aside the receiving aspect and believe and have faith in the fact that you will receive something later. I can say from experience that the more I give to people, the greater I receive, the greater I feel, the happier. The more, everyone's always asking me, Bill, why are you so joyous? Why are you so cheerful? I have clients, like younger clients come to me, it's like, I can't stop smiling, you're so cheerful. And I just laugh hysterically at that, because like, the only thing I can attribute that to is giving. I love to help people. That's why I do these videos. That's why Once a Week started, because I want to help people. But the secret to living is giving. And Tyler, when you reach on that point of the world with its technology, with its email, with its internet, we search. Just you said, we search. If we continue to search and search and search, we're no longer realizing what we already got.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to give to other people. But in searching for everything, you never realize what you got. You can't really receive what you have. That's when we really start to point the finger at everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's when, like you said, we have differences. There's so much diversity in the world. And that's the struggle right there. Because, this is where our conversation went really spiritual last night, guys. And, Tyler and me were both believers and whatnot. And, if you're not, that's totally fine. But take this information right here and just spark something with yourself with it. Because everyone in the world is diverse, and whatever you believe in, that's your choice. That's your holy choice right there. You can take that and run with whatever you got. It's meant to give you strength. It's meant to run with it. With so many different cultures in the world, there are so many different cultures that look to a loving God and whatnot. And loving, they love something on earth, and that God is telling them, I love you, you should love everyone else. So if you love everyone else, regardless of what you believe in, doesn't that mean you give to everyone else? Because love is something you give. It's something you get back, but it's something you got to give first. So, if love is something you give, and we're hearing that from everyone else, why are we pointing the finger at everyone else saying, you're wrong, I'm right? Because if you're saying you're wrong, I'm right, you just cut off the ability to give to someone, because you're pointing your finger in your face saying, you didn't get it right. Rather than reaching out a hand like, hey, you didn't get it right, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the secret to living is giving. And you just touched on that with, we're searching.
Right.
We're searching so much.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, just to kind of to piggyback on a lot of what you're saying, is that when we, I think sometimes we try and put too much power in our own ability, or we try and control people, or we try and control situations when they're not maybe meant to be controlled by us, right?
Yeah.
So I think I want to be careful here. I think there's times when we can, I think, guiding, supporting, motivating, encouraging, providing advice when somebody asks for advice, and kind of being, and this works, right, as a coach, as a friend, as a brother, as a sister, whatever that looks like. But knowing, I think, the boundaries of, hey, you know what, like, I need to, I know that if I don't say something right here, and maybe if I just let it be, this person will actually will grow and will gain more fruit from the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, and I think it's being strategic, but I think like you'll get prompted. I think you'll just, something will
feel it.
Will activate in your heart and your spirit and say, hey, you know what? Like, I can keep talking. If you're an extrovert, if you're someone who loves to talk, let me just kind of take a step back and let this person speak a little bit more and really listen. I think a lot of times we do a lot of hearing, but we don't do a lot of listening.
Yeah.
And I think the difference is that hearing, I can say, the biggest example, right, is I'm on the soccer field and I'm like kind of in my own zone, like I'm playing my game, and like maybe a coach or a player yells at me, like saying to me, hey Tyler, pass the ball back, and I'm like, yeah. I hear them, but I'm still stuck in what I'm doing, and I'm laser focused, which is good. But hey, like there's an opportunity that I'm missing something, and I'm not listening to what they're saying. When, hey, you know what? If I had listened, maybe I could have passed the ball and I could have got the ball back.
Yeah.
Or maybe our team could have excelled if I had just taken that one step.
Yeah.
So I think there's this wisdom in listening to people that you trust. I think there's wisdom in listening to people that have gone through it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the benefit of people, right? Like, there's a lot of people that are influencers in the day of social media influencers.
Yeah.
It's like we are looking to a lot of them for wisdom.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when you look at the ancients, they look to people who were much older than them, who are the ancient sages, people who had this wisdom of many years of life experience or whatever that is.
Exactly.
But say, hey, like, I value your voice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start to change my life because of some of the good that you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Humble yourself.
Exactly.
You know,
that's it, man.
That's ringing in my head as you were talking, because everything you said is humble yourself. When you can actually take a step back and get out of your own way to let someone talk if they got to talk, to be there. If they're the extrovert, like you said, they got to just get it out. You take the step back and said, bring it on. Because that's you giving your time, receiving from someone else, and they're receiving something at the same time. So that's that living in abundance. And if you guys can understand the belief of living in abundance, where if you can look at it, it's funny. I was reading a book today, teaching me how to help people on a deeper level. And one of the main sections of it, this wasn't a spiritual book. This is a psychological book, and it's one of the things that comes from it. It's NLP, neuro linguistic programming. It's to help people achieve more through their therapy and whatnot. And one of the main key points in this 7-point process is you gotta live, our words, abundance, but you gotta live like you already have the resources. If you can come from a point where you believe that you already have the resources to do what you got to do, whether that's your goal, whether that's your dream, whatever it is, if you're coming at it and you're looking at this mountain and you don't know if you've got your walking stick, you don't know if you've got your backpack on, and you're staring at your dream and you're like, I don't have these skills to do it, you're already stopped at the starting line. You're nowhere even on the race. But if you think about it, like, if you can believe in yourself that I have all the resources, I can find what I need to along the way, that's living in abundance. That's taking it on just a whole different level for you guys, where take a step and see and believe for yourself, I have everything I need in this moment to start. And that's where I take it from my clients, where I really show them, if you can just fathom the fact that you have a goal, that you have a dream, to me, that's what sparked me, where if you were given the dream, that proves that you have everything you need to start it. If you have everything you need to start it, you have all the abundance that you need. You're living in abundance to start your goal, your dream, and give it to someone else, to move forward with someone else, to help someone along the way. But it's funny that you bring up that, Tyler, where if we can live in abundance and be humble ourselves and everything, we have everything we need in the moment, right? And that's, again, it's called neuro-linguistic programming for a reason, because we have to reprogram, or as I like to call it, rewire your minds to try and show you what's already there. The abundance, the resources, everything you need is right there.
Yeah. Man, I'm drinking my cappuccino right now, and I'm like, I just want to chug this thing and get going. No. But seriously, I think
it's funny when this was in my head. If you notice in the video when Tyler, when you were talking about you taking it onto the soccer field and using it, and you said, if I could just listen to what the coach was telling me and get out of that focus right to just to score this goal on my own, take on everyone else on the team. Guys, I started laughing because the very first motivational speech I ever gave was the Tyler soccer team in high school, and I was a friend of everyone on that team. And Tyler, the main focus of that speech was to get the team to play together, because everyone on that team wanted to be a star. But if you're the star, you can't be a team, because you're thinking you're the main guy. You want to do it all on your own when your coach is telling you, pass the ball, he's wide open, but you want to be the star on the stat line. And after that speech, guys, Tyler's team made it to the playoffs. They made it to semifinals, correct? I think it was. We went far.
I don't know the exact. Yeah. We did well. It was a good year when we had to win. I forget the exact. We had to win like we had to win. There's 6 games left, I believe. We had to win 4 and at least tie 1.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And we won 4 and tied 1.
Yeah.
And then lost the other one.
Yep.
And it was just and that allowed us to get in.
Exactly.
So there was some.
I bring that up now not to bring up a past achievement, but to bring it up as that giving message to work as a team that we're trying to give to you guys now to live in abundance worked for this team to make it into the playoffs. And it's just so cool to see that's what sparked this dream to get to this point right now.
Yeah.
As long as you can keep pursuing. And who told me that I had the resources to stand in front of you guys? No one. Just they're my buddies. Let me talk to them.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I use soccer because when you look at Paul's letters in the Bible, there a lot of athletic metaphors of using like run your race, you know.
Yep.
And perseverance, and a lot of words and actions that describe those that an athlete would describe what they're going through.
Yeah. And
I think it's so applicable for I'm an athlete. I consider you an athlete.
Yeah. I appreciate
it.
Not professional anymore.
No, but we're all athletes in our own ways.
Exactly.
But I think that is. It can be hard because sometimes we can find ourselves in feeling like we're in we can put ourselves in like a battle mindset.
Yeah.
And I think there is times when you will be facing these battles in your life, right?
Yeah.
And understanding what those mean.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's other times when you can, and how you flip that and how you flip the switch and start to activate what God has put on your life is by coming back to this humility and this more so this gratitude. And I think that is what helps you lead into a life of abundance when you're grateful for what you have. I think we have a lot of us are able to put in so much more than we think is possible. And sometimes it just takes that little leap of faith, right? It just takes that step. And I really believe these small acts of faithfulness in your work, in your family, at school, they pay off.
Oh yeah.
They really do, because we're meant to, and I don't mean it as let me just keep growing and become some superhuman or whatever. But so that again I can grow, and in the process others are growing with me. Yeah. And I think that's the great thing about this life, is that we can look back at what we've done, and then we can start to lean into something. We can take steps, and we can see the progress. And we can say, hey, you know what, something that I had no idea that I could do, I can now do. And we talked about this yesterday. It was I ran a marathon a few weeks ago.
I was just going to mention it if you didn't.
Yeah, man.
Because everything you just said falls in line with that.
And I ran this marathon, and when I was in 6th grade, I couldn't run a quarter mile.
Yeah.
I would literally, I stepped outside. It's a quarter mile around the small loop by my house. Yeah. And I had to stop because I would get so out of breath. Yeah. I didn't have asthma. I was just out of shape, and I couldn't run. Yeah. And it was at one point in a period of frustration, a period of anger, I decided that this was not going to be the way I was going to go forward. Yeah. And that, you know what, if I succumb to that, I'm going to be missing out on so much that I can look back on and be like, yeah, it was hard, but it was worth it. Exactly. And guess what? At the moment, I never thought I could run a quarter mile. I never thought I could run a half mile. Yeah. But then years go on, and I run a marathon, and it's I'm going through it, and I'm when you take these small steps and just focus on making small incremental improvements, and you really set your mind to it, you know what? It's such a great thing. And I think having these goals and setting these things in your life are so good, because it brings everything into wholeness.
Exactly. And your example right there, came to run a quarter mile to running a full marathon a couple weeks ago. last night Tyler was bringing up to me, guys, how he can see so many strengths that came out of that. He can see so many skills that came out of it because he gave the time for it, where he's just like, he drew the line, no more. I'm doing this, I'm preparing for this, and then I don't know if it was your buddy that invited you to do it, or you just saw it and you said, that's the one. And I know Tyler challenges himself so much with his physical ability as much as his, mental ability. You learn so much, but it's crazy to see if you just can take those little steps, how far you can actually go. Tyler, something you said prior to talking about your race, that actually two things that you said, but the big piece is the gratitude piece that I grabbed from that, because the gratitude piece in everything that I've learned through psychology, through spirituality, emotional, mental, physical, whatever you want to call it, gratitude is truly the human's greatest elevated emotion. And I did elevated emotions in the past videos with another guest on the show, but your elevated emotions are what you can tap into to really truly feel that abundance in your life. And at the basis of all of that, there's a whole list of these things of your lower emotions that take from you that some of us get stuck in, whether that's the anger, the greed, the power that we all human nature really can crave that, but that starts to take away from you because you're no longer giving, if you want to say that. You're no longer giving, because that's our topic for today. But as you draw up that line, you really get to a middle point where you start to fall into love. You start to really see the joy, the greatness that comes with stuff. But you get to the top of that list in gratitude. Gratitude is the biggest one you can do, because thankfulness, just being able to be thankful for what you already have, and that's where abundance comes into play. If you can be thankful for what you have in this very moment and not worry about what else you want, what else you need, or what else you want, because truthfully right now you have everything you need. In this moment you have everything you need, you're given everything you need, and if you can be thankful for what you have right now and see that is what you need, you don't need it anymore. And I can really believe that when you don't need it anymore, that's when that's honored and you start to get more, because you stopped. When you can truly say for yourself, I don't need this, I'm okay right now, that's when it comes in. And guys, I say that, and that's probably weird for people to grasp that at first. I think the lights just turned off, but we're still going to keep this going because I don't know where the light switch is here in Unlikely Story. But guys, when you can sit there and be gracious to what you already have, and I talk for that on a health reason, where I've seen people need the healing. Whether they're praying for the healing or they're in the doctor's office, I can say that from family, where my grandfather and everyone's been in the hospital recently. And I tried to pick this message to them where you're okay, just believe it. And if you can believe that in this moment, you have the faith to say that I'm okay, that's truthfully, whether you believe the spiritual matter or just a mental ability to just overcome something, that's when people really start to heal. And you can dive into the studies on this, there's case studies on this, where when people can truly let go, the saying is let go and let God. But when you can let go of something and give it, and just be gracious for what you have now, gratitude, that's when people heal. The second that happens, and when you can truly give up your ego, your pride, the whole 9 yards, that's when the healing comes. So, Tyler, when you brought up gratitude, that was ringing in my head to get that out there, because that's how you live in abundance. When you can be gracious for what you have, and if you have everything you need right now, and you can see that, and you feel you don't need more, that's when, on a spiritual matter, that's where God honors that. He pours out his blessings upon you. I constantly ask God to pour out his blessings upon my friends and my family, because I know I love my family, and that's why I do it. But when you start to see it, that we're all where we need to be, and his blessings start to pour out, that's where you start to see the true faith and the power right there.
Right.
And it's powerful stuff. But, guys, take that and run with it. And after studying these books, like I told you, these aren't just spiritual books, these are psychological books. And when you start to see that and make those connections, there's so much power here in the power of gratitude and being gracious. But, there's one other piece, Tyler, that you mentioned, and we talked about it a lot yesterday, and it's the mindset. And you mentioned battle mindset. Now, the mindset is something, like, that's why I do these videos. I want to bless people with a better mindset to really go after this stuff. But after seeing some of my friends recently go through, just in my eyes, the worst mindsets you can have, but where they really let that anger or that anxiety take over, you start to see how it changes people. you're no longer living in that gratitude, the abundance that we're talking about. You start to live elsewhere.
Yeah.
And when you start to live in one of those mindsets, like you said, battle mindset, what are you operating out of? Are you operating out of abundance? Are you operating out of anger? Are you operating out of greed, power? You want to be the best out of everything? Or it's something else?
I know.
And when people are operating out of that, Tyler, I see from like real life experiences, I'm like, what happened to my friend? What happened to my buddy? What happened to this person right here that is just, he's on total other opposite side of the spectrum that I know him from. And then you start to take a step back, just as we mentioned, you guys, take a step back. Be there for what they have to be there for. But what are you doing when you're operating out of something else other than living in abundance? There's power there.
Yeah. And I think that's such a fantastic point, connecting our emotions with what you're saying now, of like, if we're right, like our emotions can change like in a second.
Exactly.
You know, like I can be feeling, and I think if we start to let it control us, and we accept that emotion of I should be angry. I have a right to be angry.
Yeah.
I have a right to want this power. We can just start to slowly see ourselves letting that kind of succumbing to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard, and it's really hard because like I was this week, you know, I mean, all the time I fall into it, and I'm like, you know, I go to the gym, and I'm like yesterday I went to the gym, and I was like angry working out, and I'm like, why am I so angry?
Exactly.
Like, what is this from?
Yeah.
Right? And like, okay, so then you're angry, and then I'm like, why? Okay, and I'm trying to diagnose it myself. I'm like, okay, well, why was I angry? And I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, well, I was anxious, you know. I was experiencing some anxiety, just some, and then I started to get fearful of like what this uncertainty and this frustration started to arise for me, and then that's when I just got angry, right? And it's like nobody values from that. Nobody benefits. Like,
no, exactly.
You know, like I'm sure if somebody was next to me, they could see that anger, and because it's not, it doesn't
feel it.
Yeah, it doesn't like stay in my internal self.
Yeah.
It projects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes elsewhere.
And I think so, diagnosing that and then flipping it to joy, flipping it to back to this point of gratitude.
Exactly.
Coming back to gratitude. Coming back to gratitude again.
Yeah.
Until we say, hey, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And then we realize, hey, I have a lot of great, like, if I sit in this, I'm gonna be miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start, everything will start skewing, and not only am I gonna be bad, and if I don't address this now, it's gonna start seeping into other areas of my life. And I think that's the problem, is that if we let a situation maybe that sparks this anxiety or this fear, this anger, or whatever, just this negativity that can start to succumb us, rather has the opportunity, that we we don't deal with it, right? It can magnify in other areas of our life.
Oh, definitely.
And I think that's personally, and I don't know the studies behind this or the research behind this, but like I can respond two ways, right? I can either try and deal it, and try and fight it, which sometimes will work, but like I don't always, I don't defeat it, right? Or because sometimes that battle isn't always mine, you know.
I get that.
Or like I can isolate it, and I can just try and forget it, and just push it away and compartmentalize it. And that is such a natural thing, because like
we all
I've established this, like, hey, like let me just stay focused and grind, or do my work, whatever that is. And I think that's good, but like at some point it's still there, right? It's still there. And I have to identify that. And I need to try and kind of dissect myself. But I also need to share with friends. That's like the only reason that we're having this conversation is because like we're sharing this stuff to each other. You know, and that's how other people are gonna, like, that's when you start to let other people into your life.
Exactly.
When you open these things up, and you know,
it's true. No, it's true. And you know, Tyler, I think you just hit on so many key points, but I think you're right. Compartmentalizing everything is what a lot of people do. And I think every single person is, they do that. I do that. I know I do that. But like we said, when you can do that and you can just put it away, you get rid of it for the time being, but it eats away. It eats away, and then it comes back out. Like you're angry in the gym, and you question it, and that's, I think, one of the best things to do is question it. It's like, why is that there? And you try and figure it out, because if you didn't, it would be back again. And then, sure enough, the next day in the gym, you're going to wonder why you're even more angry, because you may have put it away when you left the gym, but when you went back to it, it's stronger. Right. You may have felt more intense in the gym, that you get a better pump in the gym, and I know it's great to get a pump in the gym, but you're not enjoying it. You're not enjoying it, and Tyler, one of the key things you said is, when you're in that battle, when you're in that struggle where it's just like, why is this happening? You could fight it, you try and push back, but then usually when we fight it, people tend to get angry at themselves over the fact that they're angry, and it's a cycle, it's a vicious cycle. And I love how you brought it up, Tyler, because the best way that you can put an end to these emotions, I don't want to say put an end, overcome these emotions, conquer these emotions, it's to be thankful for them. Right. And whether that's thanking God for them. And that's something that I can say from experience radically changed the game for me. Yeah. When I was dealing with just vicious anxiety, just dark depression, just anger, just everything prior to me starting these videos, and this has really helped me come out of it all. I sat there and would question, why does this keep happening? Why does everything keep happening? And until I really started to sit there, I was like, thank you for this opportunity. I thank you, God, for this anger, and I thank you for this anxiety right now. And you're going to feel, guys, if you try this, I know it's going to work, but you're going to feel so dumbfounded the second you thank someone or thank God for the anxiety the nerves that you're feeling. But the second you're thankful for them, you completely, radically reframe your brain into what the heck you're doing. And when you can radically change your brain into what you're doing, that habit, that pattern of anger, anxiety, it ceases, and you can create something new. Because if you're mixing positivity with the negativity, the positivity will win. If you're mixing light and dark, the light will always overcome it. Right. So when you can thank someone for the anger, like, I don't know what causes, but thank you for the opportunity and the obstacle and the challenge to try and overcome this. One, you're thanking someone for the challenge, you're thanking someone for the strength that you're gaining from it. But, two, when you change your brain like that, your brain creates a new pattern. And this is what I teach people in my life coaching sessions. When you can teach your brain a new pattern and you can imprint that on your mind, it overcomes it. You start to create something new. So if when your anger comes, thank you for this obstacle, this challenge to overcome my anger right now, you're telling yourself you're going to overcome it. Yeah. You're telling yourself this anger doesn't have a hold on me. You're telling yourself that you're not going to compartmentalize it anymore where it can eat away at you. You're telling yourself, like, I'm going to find something better. Right. And I can say from experience, if you're in the gym right now and your anger is getting at you and you think you're just being so much more intense and whatnot, I can say that it really weirds people out when you lift, in a sense, in joy. But if you look at me in the gym, I'm squatting 405 with just a smile on my face. And people are sitting there like, what the heck's wrong with him? But when people ask me,
I'm like, oh, classic Billy.
like, literally, I'm like laughing in the squat rack. But it's like, when you can really do that, I can say in the gym perspective, you get such a better pump out of that because your muscles are operating out of a positive, elevated emotion. Yeah. When you operate off a negative emotion, you're more tired. People ask, like, oh, do you stretch that often? I know I should stretch more. I stretch before my workouts, but I'm not that sore. And you can attribute that. There could be someone watching this right now like, oh, well, Bill doesn't know what the heck he's talking about with the gym. But I can say from experience, when you can operate out of these elevated emotions to overcome your negative cycles, oh my goodness, you retrain your mind in such a way that you overcome something. When you can break through that wall, get ready.
I know.
You're on to your next goal.
Dude, so
right?
good.
Yeah.
And wow. There's some gems in there.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
take that, and then guys, take that and run with it. That's when something takes over.
Don't run yet though, because you need to still tune into this.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
Right. After, right. Hold the pause button. We'll hit fast forward a little bit.
Exactly.
No, but I seriously, I think when we identify our emotions. And I think this is one of the big values of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I haven't been to a meeting, but I've heard a lot about them.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that they do is they identify that, like, this is bothering me. Right? So within AA, it's
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Right? Identifying that you are.
Exactly.
And confronting it.
Yeah.
And so confronting, I think, following a similar pattern, confronting your emotion and say, hey, I'm angry right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do we work from that? And
Yeah.
a lot of what we've been talking about
Yeah.
is changing our mindset
Exactly.
to overcome. Like, my biggest prayer for listeners today
Yeah.
is that they can work through it and they can pray through it.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think for whether you're a Christian, you're a believer, you're following God, or you have never been to a church, never met anyone who's a Christian,
Yeah.
that you can just open yourself up,
Yeah.
and pray, and it's a talk, it's a conversation,
Yeah.
it's just
It's relaxed.
it's just
Peace.
an opening.
You open yourself up to peace.
And I really believe that when we put ourselves in this posture and just initiate, that something big is going to happen in your life.
Yeah.
And you might not see it right away, but consistency, small acts of faithfulness,
Oh yeah.
putting yourself in the right positions,
Uh-huh.
I think is really honoring.
Yeah.
And I think as you mentioned, I think we really do honor God when we put ourselves in this humility, which acknowledges that I don't have all the answers, and I'm seeking them, and I'm letting a little bit go of myself, and I'm trusting that this process, even though I don't want to do this, that this is what's right for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? We say we're made in the image of God, and we've been making God in our image ever since. Right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we can get angry, and for people that have had bad experiences with God, or have been hurt by people, been hurt by those who are proclaiming the name of Jesus, and you're being hurt by them, I really hope that you can give it a second chance,
definitely.
and open up, and just be willing to just to start.
Yeah.
Just
That's what it is. Just start.
And I think I think we're
Yeah.
we can get so trapped into what's working for us, and there's so much more.
Oh yeah. That's exactly. There's so much more, and that's it. Just start. And I think, Tyler, that was your big, whenever all the topics you brought up today, whether it was your marathon or whatever it is, like we just talked about praying and whatnot, just start. If you're running a marathon, just start.
Just start.
If you can't run a quarter mile, just start. If there's been someone that's hurt you in the past with your faith and your belief, just start. Pick the ball back up again.
Exactly.
There's no reason to go sit on the bench. There's no reason to leave the game of your life. And this is the game of your life.
Yeah.
And so whatever game you play, basketball, you run a race, or you play chess, you pick the piece back up again, and you start it up. And I agree with you. I think prayer is, I don't want to call it the end-all be-all. That's God. But if you think about it, prayer is a tool. Prayer is the key. And I think prayer is a major key that we call our heart. And when prayer is the key to your heart, I study this stuff. I study prayer, I study meditation, and I look into the studies on what your brain does during this stuff. And this was not meant for today's message. This is meant for another one, but I'm going to talk about it now. When you are in prayer, your brain waves eradicate. They get to a higher pitch, and it's usually gamma waves, and they become more in sync. And when they become more in sync, you open yourself up to a higher power. And when you open yourself up to a higher power, you're no longer operating on a human means, you're operating on a spiritual means.
Yeah.
And guys, this is in the books. This is in psychology books. This is in spiritual books. This is out there. That's why I keep touching on it with everyone I come across.
Right.
There is something here. And when you can pray, meditate, whatever you're doing, you're reaching out. And I can say from experience that falls in line with all these elevated emotions and this anger and everything we talked about, to release it. So if you're struggling with anger, if you're struggling with anxiety, if you're struggling with depression, if you're just struggling in life and you don't even know what's causing it, pray. And I can tell you, on a physical perspective, emotional perspective, mental perspective, and spiritual perspective, it will help you. And I have faith in that. I have the utmost faith in that. And Tyler, I thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, usually I just go off on those like little rants, but I love it. But
it's a release.
No, it is. You can let it out because someone needs it. And that comes back. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring it back to our main message today, guys. Living in abundance.
Yeah.
And like Tyler said, it's a release. Yes. To someone who needs it. You're giving back to someone. And you can live in abundance. The secret to living is giving. If you can believe in yourself that you have everything you need here in this moment right now, what could you give to someone else? Because when you can open yourself up to do that, get ready, because there's a blessing with your name on it. You're going to receive something. I believe that wholeheartedly. But you got to humble yourself. You know, humility is a factor here. Humble yourself, and instead of pointing the finger at someone else, you put that back down and you reach out a hand. There's no reason.
Come on.
There's no reason to point the finger at someone else in your anger, in your hurt for what happened to you. If you can put the finger down, reach out a hand, and give to someone else, get ready. That's all I gotta say. Get ready. And Tyler, if there's anything else you want to add in this video, I feel like we put something together for people to run with. And guys, like I said, it was impromptu. I know if you probably had to bump up the volume on this video, it's because we're at an unlikely story. Hopefully, we'll be speaking here someday on our own terms, but that's why the volume was a little off, guys. As you can see, the lights for some reason shut off. I don't even know if they knew we were up here. We kind of just ran with it, and but I loved it. And you know, there are people watching this right now, so hopefully they get something out of this message too, just as you guys did. But we're going to do our best to get this quality to you guys in this video right now. But Tyler, if there's anything else you want to add, man.
Yeah. Just thank you for welcoming me back on. To Once a
I
Week.
love when you're back on, dude. The messages just start flying.
It's awesome. It's just we could talk all day.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think that's one of our challenges.
Exactly.
Is like it's just kind of
It started out as abundance, and then we took that so much deeper than we should have.
We said abundance, and we didn't like. I think we took it like 4 steps.
We gave abundance.
Right. Like we went the whole escalator. We just needed to take a few steps.
Exactly.
But I thank you. And it's so great to see all that you're doing with Once a Week, and the lives that you're touching and impacting and collaborating with in the work that you're doing. And I think the final word I have for listeners is stay in the light. We're in darkness right now.
Literally.
Unlikely story, literally in darkness, but we
is the light.
Stay in the light, man.
Yeah, stay in the light. No, I like that.
And all will be well.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah. Tyler, I thank you for being here. Yeah, guys,
Enjoy.
you can check Tyler out on the Guys Like Us podcast. This podcast, guys, has spread more and more to more people, and people, they get a lot out of it. Tyler, he interviews a lot of people, and the messages run. But guys, well, let them walk by. But you can find Tyler on Instagram at Tyler Brondyk, and then at Guys Like Us. And guys, check out these messages and run with them. If this message helped you out today, I can assure you there's a lot more that can help you run with it as well. But Tyler, again, thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Cool.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back bay.